Hello world and welcome to this edition of Tech on Fire with Blaize. I'm Blaize Stewart, an architect at Winelect, and today we're going to be doing an overview of virtual networks on Microsoft Azure. So today we're going to be looking at virtual networks on Microsoft Azure and doing an overview of this service. Now, a virtual network on Azure is, as it sounds, it is a virtual network like its hypervisor counterparts like you would expect from VMware or Hyper-V. The main difference, though, with a virtual network on Azure versus an on-premise hypervisor is that you don't have to worry about a lot of the low-level implementations on that virtual network on Azure. So in other words, you don't have to worry about things like switches or all the things like VLANs or any of those kind of low-level configurations, like if you're actually managing some of the physical hardware that some of the resources that you're connecting to on-premise need. So on Azure, you're really just concerned about layer 3 and up to layer 7 in the OSI model. So with that in mind, there's some basic services that it's going to provide you out of the box that you would expect it to have, because if you're standing up these on-premise, you would have to configure these services manually in order to have them available on your network. And a few of these that are worth mentioning are things like DHCP. DHCP is Dynamic Host Control Protocol, which you would expect to have on a network. So that's what manages your IP allocations within a given virtual network on Azure. Another one would be some basic DNS services. So Azure out of the box on a virtual network will provide you the ability to do DNS forwarding and some basic DNS services for virtual machines on a given Azure virtual network. However, if you want a custom virtual machine to handle, or custom DNS to handle some of those DNS services, you can certainly add that to your virtual network and then configure the VNet to assign that DNS to your virtual machines and other resources on Azure whenever those are created. And third, you would expect it to have something like routing available. So on Azure, if you want, you can take the out-of-the-box experience and have it connect your virtual machines to the internet and have the traffic be forwarded to the internet by way of routing, or you can define custom routes on Azure using a route table configuration. So the router that's baked into your VNet can forward all your traffic through, say, something like a virtual appliance if you so choose to use a virtual appliance instead of just some of the basic routing that is provided by Azure. And these kind of basic functionality is what's baked into Azure Vnets, but there's some also value add things like that are related to security and also to our network architecture that you probably wouldn't get out of a standard network from a hypervisor or something like that. One of these that's worth mentioning is a network security group. Now, a network security group is essentially a firewall. Now, as you would expect, any Azure virtual networking can be carved up into VNets. Any VNet can be carved up into subnets, and those subnets then can be wrapped with a basic firewall that is called a network security group, or an NSG for short. And a network security group is basically a packet filter that allows you to control the flow of traffic based on source and destination ports and source and destination IP addresses. So this is a basic firewall functionality. It's not going to do things like IDS, intrusion detection systems, or intrusion prevention systems, or stateful packet inspections for protocols and things like that, but it does provide you some of that basic layer 3 and layer 4 firewalling capabilities that you can configure in that network security group. Another cool feature about Azure Vnets is the ability to do something called Azure Vnet peering. Now, an Azure Vnet is it's a standalone resource on Azure, and that resource will work just fine by itself, but it doesn't give you the ability to span regions in Azure. So once you create a VNet, say in the East US region on Azure, you can't span that virtual network to another region like the West US region on Azure. However, there is a service that allows you to create network topologies on Azure to where you can have a VNet in the West US and a VNet in the East US, and you can take those two VNets and peer them together. And that peering, that VNet peering, allows you to have what is essentially a local area network or wide area network that is connected by way of a private connection between those. And it would be very similar to how an MPLS would work, or a virtual private network for connecting a site to site VPN. It's a low level connection, but it allows you to route traffic seamlessly between two virtual networks in different regions or in the same region on Azure, and treat them as if they were the part of a wider area network. So this allows you to build out some rather complex topologies on Azure, such as having the ability to have something like a VPN concentrator in one Azure region, and then have all your clients come into that Azure concentrator, that VPN concentrator in that one Azure region, and then have it be able to route traffic to all of the other VNets that are paired with that VNet that is hosting your VPN concentrator. And this is one of the common topologies that is available on Microsoft Azure, called a hub and spoke model. So again, the ability to create very complex network topologies and the tools that you need to take the base functionality and extend it using things like virtual appliances well beyond the basic functionality of a VNet is available on Azure. However, if you don't want to, you can just take the out-of-box experience and get up and running on Microsoft Azure using Azure Vnets rather quickly. So it's really as simple or as complex as you want it to be, and it provides you the tools and resources that you need to make that happen. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing deep dives into many of the resources that are available on Azure that are related to VNets, and including VNets themselves. We're going to look at how you can create custom DNS. We're going to look at routes, how you can control traffic within SGs, how you can do VNet peering, and then we're going to look at the ways that you can connect virtual machines to multiple VNets, and a lot of other different things like that. So we've got a lot of content coming out that's going to be related to Azure virtual networks in the next few weeks, so stay tuned, and thanks for watching Tech on Fire with Blaize.
If you like this content, please consider visiting us online at www.wintelect.com, and there you can find about services that Wintelect offers, including training and consulting services. Also, please consider subscribing to this channel by clicking on the subscribe button and clicking the bell icon to get notifications when new content becomes available, and also comment down below. You can also follow me on Twitter at @TheOneMule, and also follow Wintelect on Twitter at WintelectNow or at Wintelect. We are constantly posting things about Azure-related technologies and things related to software development. You can also reach us by email at consulting@wintelect.com. Until next time, thank you.